When we looked at the outer solar system, we realized that while most of the very distant objects, these objects beyond Neptune, beyond Pluto, most of these objects, they all go around the sun and they're all sort of pointing off in all different directions. But the most distant objects all swing out in one direction in a very strange way that shouldn't happen. And we realized that the only way we could get them to all swing in one direction is if there is a massive planet also very distant in the solar system, keeping them in place while they all go around the sun. And we started looking at this and thinking, this must be either a coincidence or it's caused by something else. It can't be caused by a planet because that's crazy. There are no planets out there. I went from trying very hard to be skeptical that what we were talking about was true to suddenly thinking, oh, this actually might even be true.
So the object itself likely is more massive than the Earth, probably a little bit less massive than Neptune. It sits right in between that terrestrial to giant icy planet range. Its orbit, unlike the orbits of the known planets, is not nearly circular and planar. Instead, it is exceptionally wide, 20 times bigger than the orbit of Neptune. The orbital period of the Earth is, of course, 1 year. Right? The orbital period of Jupiter, the big player in our solar system, is about 10 years. The orbital period of this putative ninth planet is 20,000 years.
We have nothing like it in the solar system, so it's new for us. It is, however, the most common mass of planets that have been found around all of the other stars. People have always looked at all these other planets in this strange mass range and said, wow, I wonder what these are. I don't know what these are because we don't have anything like it in the solar system. Looks like maybe we do. I'm really hoping that as we announce this, people start a worldwide search to go find this ninth planet.
Again, solar stream is coming from the right. That's where the sun is. All the plasma in the blue is being blown backwards. That's a part of our protective shield here. 2 hours missing, 5:37, exactly the same time. Everything goes haywire. Come up to that point again. Everything's coming from the right. Bam. Now, the black lines are our field lines. That's our magnetic field lines. Very important. They have now bent backwards at this point. People have talked about Planet X, Nibiru, Planet 7. If there's an object coming in, would it have orbiting planets? Would it have debris with it?
So this is some stuff that piqued my curiosity that I'm sharing with you here. All of this stuff will be linked. I suggest you go to the Caltech thing and watch the whole video. But anyways, I'm going to try and get through this quickly for you. Planet X to really cause mass extinction this month. This is April 9th, 2016. We're going to come down here. Thanks to science, we know that the larger the celestial body, the bigger its gravity, and consequently its ability to affect other, smaller bodies around it. We've known of Jupiter's crucial role in protecting us from asteroids for quite some time now, but the mysterious Nibiru could very well do the opposite, and some say there's good reason to believe it. We're going to come down here. A retired astrophysics professor from the University of Louisiana, Daniel Whitmire, is saying Nibiru has all but arrived to our neck of the woods, and that the destruction brought about by its gravitational trickery will take place this very April, as it's done numerous times before. Then we're going to come down here. Earlier this year, we started seeing space anomalies manifesting in a small group of objects, which have been taking on a peculiar orbit. Only something 10 times the size of the Earth, as theorized with Nibiru, could influence celestial objects in such a way, according to a study from Caltech. The anomaly was picked up on in the Kuiper Belt, which stretches all the way past Neptune, and it resurrected a 100-year debate. And then we're going to come over here, because again, this stuff just piqued my curiosity, and I wanted to share it with you. This is fire officials' reclaim report of possible meteor strike in Bowie. This is Bowie, Maryland. This was on April 25th, 2016. And we're going to come down here, where this was put out by the Bowie Volunteer Fire Department. Possible meteorite strike behind Scarlet Oak Terrace causing a massive brush fire. And then we're going to come up here and see that when firefighters made it to the site, there was a large pit, which was 12 to 15 feet wide by 5 to 6 feet deep. And the fire spread to adjacent trees and brush and took approximately 15 firefighters 4 hours to extinguish. But again, they came out and said, nope, that should have never been put out. The Post should have never listed a meteorite as the cause. Okay. Okay, so now we're coming over here. Was it a meteor? Solving the mystery of New Jersey's tsunami buoy. April 25th, 2016, a tsunami warning device about 200 miles off the coast of New Jersey went into event mode over the weekend, but there were no giant waves threatening the shore. There was speculation that the drop could have been triggered by a meteor because the Lyrid meteor showers were active during the weekend. There also was speculation a submarine could have struck the buoy. So again, this stuff just piqued my curiosity, want to share. We're going to move here. Okay, so now here we are, coast to coast. This was from March 30th, 2016. In the first half of the show, retired investigative researcher Bob Fletcher talked about his contention that a rogue Planet X, or Nibiru, is coming our way, and the disastrous effects it could have for Earth. He first became suspicious that something was afoot when he discovered that massive amounts of money were being funneled out of the government and the Federal Reserve. He concluded that these funds were surreptitiously used for the construction and stocking of underground facilities that will house the elite and members of the New World Order, while the arrival of Planet X wreaks cataclysms upon the planet's surface. According to his sources, the knowledge of Planet X dates as far back as 1983. So again, I was just like, well, that's interesting. And so we're coming over here because I remember hearing about Rumsfeld talking about the missing $2.3 trillion that they couldn't track on September 10th. And we all know what happened on September 11th, 2001. Nobody was talking about the missing money. So I Googled just to see, and there was this one, which brought me over here. So here we are, debunked. Rumsfeld says 2.3 trillion missing from the Pentagon. In 2001, Donald Rumsfeld said, according to some estimates, we cannot track 2.3 trillion in transactions. This has been misinterpreted by many people as 2.3 trillion actually going missing. However, it's really just about the way the money was accounted for. So here's the original source. Go look at it for yourself, right? Okay. Oh, well, golly gee. Page not found. Okay, well, there was another link, right? Here, we can also see this. Huh. No input file specified, but yes, there was. So again, this was something, this has gone long, but it really, really piqued my curiosity. And I wanted to share it because, again, trying to put the pieces together. Here we are. He first became suspicious that something was afoot when he discovered that massive amounts of money were being funneled out of the government. And then, I don't know. This just made me go, that's interesting.
What we have discovered is that numerous features of the Kuiper Belt, a field of icy debris beyond the orbit of Neptune, can be understood if the solar system possesses an additional ninth planet that resides well beyond the orbits of the known planets.
When we looked at the outer solar system, we realized that while most of the very distant objects, these objects beyond Neptune, beyond Pluto, most of these objects, they all go around the sun and they're all sort of pointing off in all different directions. But the most distant objects all swing out in one direction in a very strange way that shouldn't happen. And we realized that the only way we could get them to all swing in one direction is if there is a massive planet also very distant in the solar system, keeping them in place while they all go around the sun. And we started looking at this and thinking, this must be either a coincidence or it's caused by something else. It can't be caused by a planet because that's crazy. There are no planets out there. I went from trying very hard to be skeptical that what we were talking about was true to suddenly thinking, oh, this actually might even be true.
So the object itself likely is more massive than the Earth, probably a little bit less massive than Neptune. It sits right in between that terrestrial to giant icy planet range. Its orbit, unlike the orbits of the known planets, is not nearly circular and planar. Instead, it is exceptionally wide, 20 times bigger than the orbit of Neptune. The orbital period of the Earth is, of course, 1 year. Right? The orbital period of Jupiter, the big player in our solar system, is about 10 years. The orbital period of this putative ninth planet is 20,000 years.
We have nothing like it in the solar system, so it's new for us. It is, however, the most common mass of planets that have been found around all of the other stars. People have always looked at all these other planets in this strange mass range and said, wow, I wonder what these are. I don't know what these are because we don't have anything like it in the solar system. Looks like maybe we do. There are many telescopes on the Earth that actually have a chance of being able to find it. And I think that many people will be inspired to use their telescopes. I'm really hoping that as we announce this, people start a worldwide search to go find this ninth planet.
History shows us that it's a bad idea to consistently say we have now reached the end of the solar system and there's nothing beyond what we already know.
And all those people who are mad that Pluto is no longer a planet can be thrilled to know that there's a real planet out there still to be found.
February is Fireball Month. NASA has photographed about half a dozen of these bizarre slow-moving, deep-diving fireballs. Their sizes vary from basketballs to buses. Where are all the strange meteors are coming from? They all hail from the asteroid belt, but not from a single location in the asteroid belt, said Bill Cook of the Meteoroid Environment Office at NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center in Huntsville, Alabama. There is no common source for these fireballs, which is puzzling. There have been 5 or 6 notable fireballs that might have dropped meteorites around the United States alone. Germany and Japan have also had notable sightings. February 1st, a meteor lit up the skies over central Texas, putting on a dazzling show for people in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. It was extremely bright and took 8 seconds to cross the sky, said eyewitness Darren Moore, and I could see the fireball start to slow down, then it exploded like a firecracker artillery shell into several pieces, flickered a few more times, and then slowly burned out. As bright as the full moon, the fireball was spotted by NASA cameras in New Mexico, more than 500 miles, 805 kilometers, away. It was likely caused by an object 3 to 6 feet, 1 to 2 meters, wide, NASA researchers said. These fireballs are particularly slow in penetrating, meteor expert Peter Brown, a physics professor at the University of Western Ontario, said in a statement. They hit the top of the atmosphere moving slower than 15 kilometers per second, 33,500 miles per hour, decelerate rapidly and make it to within 50 kilometers, 31 miles, of Earth's surface. And the meteors have kept coming. My question is, what is knocking our asteroid belt around out there?
Hey folks, it's Thursday, October 17th, about 11 o'clock Mountain Time, 2013. Fire in the Sky news tonight here at the American Meteor Society. Started the day off with a bang, a major event over California. Many witnesses saw a spectacular fireball, which we are now referring to as rock stars instead of shooting stars, because people are seeing something that is just not typical, in my opinion. These reports are quite dramatic. And right now, we're getting some reports starting to come in from the East Coast, from Maryland, Potomac, Towson, and Severn. And one person describes it as definitely one of the coolest things he's ever seen. Another person described it as fragmenting. It broke into many pieces. Gave it a -9 and -13 respectively. The one out of the Potomac, they didn't give much of a description, so it's orange, red, and brown. And again, multiple chunks. Multiple chunks moving in tandem with the main object. And this one here, they did hear a sound. Popping, whistling sound, and that was out of the Potomac. So I'm sure there'll be more reports associated with that. And that, like I said, that just come in within the last hour. And one thing I'd like to ask you guys while I've got you here, the last couple of days, and this is just a question I want to ask, if any of you people are feeling like extremely tired, included, I have to be honest, today I for some reason this afternoon, and I don't normally get this way, I got really super tired, joints were aching and stuff like that, and that's not like me at all. My wife, same symptoms, my 14-year-old daughter, and the only reason we're bringing it up is because she's feeling the same way, and not only her, keep in mind she's a teenager, that's highly active in dance and all kinds of stuff. A lot of her friends in high school are having the same complaints. These are high school kids, teenagers. I mean, they're young, running wild, but there's many of her students at school that are saying they're just very super tired, have been the last 2 days. They just feel run down. Not necessarily sick, but just super tired. So I told my wife I would ask if any of you guys have been feeling those symptoms or know anybody that has. I don't know, maybe it's just a change in the weather. I don't know. It doesn't really change that much out here where I live, but I just wanted to ask, anybody feeling tired the last couple of days?
The fireball flew Friday night. The East Coast does not mean the end of Western civilization as we know it. Although you may have succumbed to the prophecy that some social media stopped running. The sky lit along the entire U.S. East Coast. Those who saw it described it as a thin stripe of blue-green-white, explains Chip Guy, who was driving in eastern Maryland when he and his family saw him. It did not last more than 8 or 9 seconds, and then disappeared, said a spokesman. Guy, Sussex County, Delaware. Frankly, I did not think too much about it, he says, but became concerned when he published it in the web of the local media. Triggered a rapid and overwhelming. That was just the tip of the iceberg of what was going to happen that night. Throughout Friday night, every few seconds a message appeared on Twitter from someone who had seen the meteor. Some of the messages were from the cities of New York and Washington.
Dabu 7, we've had a huge fireball over Oregon today. The news here is reporting that multiple people got shots of this and sent in pictures, and they wasn't sure exactly what this object. There's a streak here, but there's an object right here in the frame, and I'm not sure what this is. If this is what they were seeing, there's no trail off of it. There's no smoke. There's no nothing. And that is way too large to be a bird. For a bird to look like that, it had to be somewhere up here in this tree line, somewhere up in this area, not way out there like that. I mean, I guess it could be a possibility, but I'm not sure if that's the object they're talking about or not. When looking at the other pics, it is clear this is the fireball that they are talking about. This pic is similar to the other, but there's nothing up here. This is a very good shot here. Almost pyramid type structure as it comes crashing down to Earth. Almost pyramid type structure. You can see it once again there and again here. So very interesting indeed. Fireball over Oregon.
This is Dabu 7 reporting on a wild electric fireball taking place inside of Canada.
That is fucking one. Oh my god.
debris. As you watch these explosions come off, it highlights both energy that's blown off the sun, debris, and energy that's in the solar system, surrounding the sun, between Earth and the sun. Again, this is SDO, a different satellite, but still Earth-facing. And we got some problems here with these 3 sunspots. One has already went beta, gamma, alpha to the far right there. The ones in the center is growing. We're getting the larger actual flares from the center one here. But I'm going to show you the charts on them. Also, notice in the top, this is that coronal hole that we had with the heat, and we've had a Hyder flare right there. That filament that we were watching yesterday, you can't see it rise because we're looking straight at it. But notice the wave that comes out at the bottom on both sides. That's called a Hyder flare. You can Google that, Hyder. But that's when a filament rises, the gravity of the sun pulls it back down and it collapses. Notice how it goes over that dark purple, that heat of the sun. Check that out. Now, I'm going to go through a couple different cameras here, but we've got filaments that have, that's the tail end one there as the Hyder flare collapsed, and see how far it reached. Remember, it takes 109 Earths if you place them across the face of the sun to cover the distance, to give you an idea of how massive each one of these objects that we're looking at. Again, in the dark green there, that's the coronal hole. And I'm going to stop this and pause it on these strong flares. Again, Earth-facing images from the Solar Dynamics Observatory there. And I'll show you these on the charts. It's the strongest one in a few weeks. There, look at that arc, the power inside that. It's huge. And that's what's happening is these sunspots are growing and spots around them are. Check this out on the close-up. But the SDO is by far our best camera, guys. It's to watch the sun with. You don't have the Earth's atmosphere as you do from ground-based telescopes, and they can really analyze, and you can too with the different cameras. Here's our peak. We went to an M3 that, notice, started on the 27th, up through the different flares, and then this one. That's the strongest one. And if you go back almost in a couple weeks, guys, and you can see there, as I was doing the video, just a slight uptick. But we're going to watch this. All 3 of those sunspots are strong, and they're Earth-facing. You can see the 3 there, 13 and 34 here on the right. Beta, gamma, delta. See that with the red arrow? That's what you need for X flares. Now 36 is going to be right behind it. It is beta, gamma, and probably by tomorrow you're going to see that one capable of X flares. You can see the different colorations in both areas there, guys. That's telling you that you're getting a mixture of magnetic fields. Looking at the proton chart from the ACE satellites, and let's look at the flare tracker. This is the one this morning out to the left. Check that out. I'm going to let it play back through. Very strong. Notice also ISON in the pink square, according to this model. Now, it's not exactly accurate, but you can see that it's well past Earth. And the size of that flare is enormous. We've had one left and right. The Earth is in the green dot just behind ISON. Excuse me, in the yellow dot just behind ISON. And the light pink square is the MAVEN satellite. We should have. They're saying they're going to launch it out to Mars next. Now, looking at the American Meteorite Society website, guys, notice Texas, Nevada, and that's on the dates of the 29th. They came in today. This was last night. San Jose, California, Turlock, Wiley, Katy, Texas, San Antonio, Cleburne, Universal City, and Las Vegas. And also, a third report came in from the UK. And this is the map from last night of the sightings. But that's Edinburgh. And you can come here, and I'll link to this. This is the Lunar Meteorite Hunter site. Notice here the Meteor Alert Large Bolide Meteorite events expected from the 26th up to January 2014. Excuse me, up to the 12th of January 2014. And guys, that's when we're really in the center of the debris field, is the 12th. We're not past that of the incoming trail of ice-sun before it went around the sun. It's a heads up on this, guys, and we have got a schedule on our next radio show that will be 30 minutes after Paul Begley's show, Monday afternoon. That's 3:30 Eastern, 2:30 Central Time. But we're going to go there, watch his show, and then we're going to take the latest incoming on reports. And I encourage everyone to call in. Guys, the first show was kind of a technological disaster, like I expected it to be. But sometimes you just got to jump in instead of being afraid to do it and learn it. And if you guys want to do that or make videos, just do it. Throw it out there, and you'll learn, and I'm learning. But, guys, we had about 700-something people all together. And that's pretty good. And even though all the tech switches on my end weren't working properly, it was a great show, and I appreciate everyone calling in, and I encourage it. We're going to take calls, and we're going to let you talk about what you feel like is important. Heads up, be safe.
That exploded over Russia gave 2.2% of the population burns to their skin. New research says an explosion such as this, we actually could expect once at least every 25 years. Brighter than the sun, studying new details on the meteor that exploded over Russia. Thanks largely to eyewitness and video footage, researchers have documented Chelyabinsk with incredible detail. It was a blast felt around the world when the Chelyabinsk meteor exploded over Russia in February. Its shockwave was powerful enough to emit subsonic waves to far-flung regions across the planet. It says that the result that day, by watching various amateur video clips of the rock as it soared towards the Earth, the team was able to determine key elements shown in the illustration below. Among them are the meteor's precise trajectory, its speed upon entering the atmosphere, exactly where it fragmented into smaller pieces, and the point at which that explosion shone most powerful. That moment, a searing bright flash 30 times stronger than the sun, actually caused severe sunburns among bystanders. Shockwaves from the fireball, the team concluded, caused damage to an area up to 50 miles from the meteor's trajectory on either side. Fortunately, the largest fragment from the explosion, a 1,250-pound meteorite, hit a frozen lake. The team was able to recover that piece, and their subsequent analysis revealed that the rock, a relatively ordinary chondrite space rock, was more than 4,400 million years old. A new study published this week in Nature warns that the likelihood of events like Chelyabinsk is 10 times higher than experts had thought, making the phenomenon one we can expect every 25 years or so. Here's the illustration of its impact and where it was felt. It was traveling 11.6 miles per second, or 40,000 miles per hour. The meteor was brightest at 18 miles, I guess, above Earth when it exploded into fragments. 76% of the meteor evaporated before hitting the ground. 3,613 apartments had their windows shattered by the explosion, and 2.2% of the people outside at the time reported sunburns. Alright, bookmark my site. I'll keep you up to date. Please stay safe, and I'll talk to you later. God bless you. Bye.
And what you're looking at is one of the craziest fireballs I've ever witnessed. Hundreds of people seen this streak across the skies of Germany. And when they back out, you'll see exactly where they're filming from. But one of the most interesting characteristics of this object is the fact that it changes direction. You could also see that it looks as if it's like dripping flames. See how it just cut that corner? And then burst. You're going to see it change direction again. And it reminds me of some kind of craft if it was shot and on fire, coming down, still halfway under control, zigging and zagging back and forth. I've never seen a meteorite ever act like this. They always are usually in a straight line. And as you can see, as this thing is coming down through the sky, it is on fire, and it's just dripping flames. An amazing fireball event taking place in the skies over Germany. Wanted to share it with you. Ice and debris? Related? I don't know, guys. Till next time, eyes to the skies.